In the beginning, there were fields in woodland with a stream flowing through. Looking high up the hill to Mill Hill village, you could see St. Joseph's Seminary, with the enormous gold-leaf statue of St. Joseph leading your eye up the ridgeway to other newly built Catholic buildings, along to the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul House, School and Orphanage. The Irish Vincentian Fathers of the Congregation of the Mission lived nearby and said Mass in the Sisters' Chapel. The local Catholic population attended there too. Mr. and Mrs. Stallard were among those and were blessed with the ownership of these fields down the hill on the Broadway. They tried to sell the fields and, finding it difficult, full of faith, buried miraculous medals received from the sisters. The following year, the Vincentian Fathers bought the land for £1,000, as so began the Church in the Woods. Finalised in 1923, present-day parishioners remember it well, as it stood proudly at the junction of Flower Lane and the Broadway, leading down to the new train station and the ever-developing townland of Mill Hill. A local landmark among other Christian denominations' new-built churches, it sadly began to subside, and despite attempts to strengthen the walls with bands of steel, continued to decline. Everyone agreed that it needed to be demolished and a new church built on the site. So began an excellently orchestrated fundraising campaign, design and build project, which was finalised in 1996. The siting of the church hall and the presbyteries equally have their own unique history and are remembered so well by parishioners, being the fabric of their Catholic rites of passage, social and family life. Many a romance blossomed during church hall socials, many a Holy Communion breakfast, quiz supper, Night of St. Columba's events were celebrated there. St. Vincent's School involvement with so many parishioners, not only as students, parents, but contributing to its governance. So too, many a good person's concerns, eased by the Father in those presbyteries, before the wonderful present one opened in 2024. To celebrate are over 100 years of flourishing as a Vincentian parish community and the many key development points of both church buildings, church halls, presbyteries. Let us enjoy some volunteers sharing their memories.
Hello, my name's Peter Jarts, and I would like to share with you some memories that I have of the old church here in Mill Hill. Now, some of these memories that I have happen to coincide with the same memories of Bernard Lavelle. So, on behalf of Bernard as well, I'd like to tell you some of them. Well, at the age of 6, which was in 1955, I moved from Hendon to Mill Hill. The church here at the time seemed to be absolutely huge. I remember the height it was very draughty and seemed to have cobwebs everywhere. At the age of 7, I became an altar server. Father McAtarsky at the time was in charge of us. Mass, of course, was spoken in Latin, and the servers met every Friday evening for coaching and teaching and arranging duties for the following week. The servers at that time had to serve at least one 7 a.m. morning Mass to be allowed to serve on the Sunday. We were tested on our Latin responses to qualify for the Guild of St. Stephen. Being an altar server in those days was quite strict. We had to wear black shoes, for example. We all obviously wore the black cassocks and white cotters, and we were actually encouraged to have our own cotters in order that they could be spotless and neatly pressed at every service. The Sunday 11 o'clock Mass I remember distinctly. Very high church. There was an MC, a cross bearer, 2 acolytes, 4 torch bearers and a thurifer. Benediction was also every Sunday afternoon, and as servers we had to serve at least one of those per month. The church also had a very vibrant social club, fully licensed and open every evening. We had dances there every Sunday evening with live music. We had amateur dramatics, etc., etc. We were lucky enough also to have a very, very good youth club where I actually made a breakthrough with my future wife. I then got married in the church in May of 1972. When it was eventually decided to rebuild the church because the old building was literally falling apart, we did a huge programme of fundraising. We had cake sales, social evenings, cash buckets after the Sunday masses outside the church, fun runs, etc., etc. In due course, several building designs were presented to the parish and we were asked to make our choice. The old church was stripped of everything that could be salvaged. A team of us parishioners, including myself, moved into the church after the last service and removed everything that we possibly could. I remember that the tabernacle was a particular problem because it was bolted onto its base. The Stations of the Cross that we now have came from the old church. Whilst the new church was being built, we had masses, etc. in the parish social centre. A group of us set up the temporary church every Saturday and dismantled it again after Sunday evening mass. The altar was on the stage, with the congregation sitting in the stalls. When the new church was ready for use, again, a team of us volunteers moved into the building. I remember at the time thinking that the new church was exactly what the modern liturgy needed. It had been sad to say farewell to the old building with all of its tradition and memories, but it really was the time to move on.
Hello, I'm Sister Maria Parcher, a daughter of charity, and I'm going to be speaking for myself and also for my old school pal, Margaret O'Byrne. And I suppose we're speaking about a long time ago in the parish, in the early days. My early days were my mum wheeling me into the back of the church when she went to Mass, most days really. And also hearing her talk about how kind the priests were to her when my dad was away in the army. They would always stop, get off their bikes and have a chat with her and give her a bit of support. And so also with Sister Gertrude Jarvis, who actually was quite a significant figure in my family life because she ran the mothers' meetings, and of course if my mum went to that I had to go too. And Margaret O'Byrne would probably have been there as well. So my dad, when he came back from the army, he would help out sometimes with the gardening in the garden of the old Presbytery, which is just up the road from the church. Margaret and I went to St. Vincent's School, which is, of course, is now a house on the opposite side of the road to the school as it is now. And when we were at school there, we were expected, when we went to Mass on Sundays, to sit as a school group, St. Vincent's School group, on the left-hand side in the front row. And then we also, both of us, also joined a little group that were called the Agnesians. And we were very proud of our calf-length cloaks and veils, and we used to meet quite regularly. And actually, it was started by somebody who eventually became Daughter of Charity, Joan O'Neill, a parishioner. We would, as Agnesians, one of our highlights was taking part in the processions, the May procession and the Corpus Christi procession, held in the grounds of the sisters, what was then known as Central House, up on the Ridgeway. And we would process, we would queue up and start our walk, our procession, from the front of the house, walking right the way down to the back of the gardens, the end of the gardens at the temple. And on the way, we would have the rosary and we would have benediction. So it was a really big event for us. And of course, we were very proud of our red cloaks. Let me see what else I can remember. Oh yes, one of the things that we would get at those processions were miraculous medals. And of course, the miraculous medal was part of our kind of uniform as an Athanasian, but we also were given scapulars. A very important part of school life was the fact that we always got sweets on the feast days of St. Vincent, St. Louise and St. Catherine. And the sisters from the house would come over with big trays of sweets. So it was a great occasion. So we enjoyed that. The church itself, and going to church, we had benediction on a Monday evening. And I know quite a number of us would go to those benedictions on a Monday evening. And there was also the novena to the miraculous medal at that benediction. But it was a special occasion. And also, that one of the highlights of the year, in a way, was the service at 3 o'clock on Good Friday. And the whole church would be packed. You'd have to get there really early to be there for that. It was a truly parish occasion, and it's always lived with me ever since then. I suppose there are a couple of events that I really would like to share with you. And one is that when I was quite little, about 6 years old, I had to go into hospital, and it wasn't always possible. They didn't always let mothers and other visitors, lay people, come in to visit. And so Father Conroy, who was one of the priests in the parish, used to come and visit me and bring me oranges. And he had such a gentle voice. I always look forward to him coming, as well as his oranges. At the other occasion, which was a bit later on, and it was in 1960, and that was the occasion of the third centenary, the 300 years since the death of Vincent and Louise. And for that, Father Brannigan, who was the parish priest at the time, had the big picture above the altar taken down and a mural painted on the wall. It was a very distracting mural because it's got lots of people there. And I must admit that when I was in church, I really struggled sometimes to work out who all these people are. And then, of course, later on, it was painted over, which I actually think is quite a shame. So those are my memories of the parish.
Sister Barbara Sandy, daughter of Charity, holding the miraculous medals. Sister organises over 12,000 miraculous medals to be distributed on request throughout the UK. Inspired by the apparition of Our Lady to St. Catherine Labouré in 1830, the Miraculous Medal Association with Worldwide Devotion is one of the 170 different organisations as part of our over 2 million members in the Vincentian family movement in over 175 countries globally. We were very happy as a parish to have our pilgrimage in September 2022 when we visited both Rue de Bac, where the Miraculous Medal Chapel is, and also St. Vincent's Chapel, where his body composed in Rue de Sèvres. Here are Kevin and Carmel English with their children Laura, Michael and Charlotte. They write movingly of all the rites of passage, both spiritually and education, and you can sense how important the parish is in their lives. Altar service, they learn to serve their community too. Maria Cunha writes movingly of the medical emergency both her sons experienced at birth. Here too, the parish community and clergy walked with Mrs. Assert and helped her overcome trauma. The parish clergy, over 12 years, are the abiding memories of Parish Secretary Melanie Gibbons. She wrote affectionately pen portraits of all of them.
Walk with me, 40 years of religious education for children at the Sacred Heart Church. Sarah and I began providing religious education for children attending non-Catholic schools when our oldest son was preparing for his first Holy Communion in 1985. A Franciscan sister asked for volunteers to help her teach RE, to children going to non-Catholic schools. We agreed to help, and then it just continued every year to the present day. The name Walk With Me came much later, when we started to use a catechetical program of that name. Prior to that, we used a variety of resources, including a program designed for service people's children who are on overseas postings. We have had many challenges. From the very beginning, the number of children was small, but gradually the numbers of those attending have risen. Currently, we have about 40 children attending each week, whose ages range from 6 to 13 years. Many years, when we have started to enroll in September, the numbers have been very small, and we always say to the Lord, no problem, they are your children, not ours. If no one comes, we can go home. So far, the Lord has never taken us up on that offer. Perhaps our greatest challenge was when the new church was being built. The hall was being used for the Sunday Masses. We had to use the top floor of the Presbytery. Our lasting memory of that time was the smell of the Sunday roast dinner cooking as we came down the stairs at the end of the class. We have been supported by many catechists over the years, but the longest service members of our team have been Paula Bayadian and Peter Murphy. They joined us when their children had just started school. These children are now adults with children of their own. Currently, we have a team of 14 catechists. We have always been supported by wonderful Vincentian priests, including Father Cleary, Father Michael Dunn, Father Aidan McGing, Father Noel Travers, Father Finton Bristow, Father Ray Armstrong, Father Perry Gilday, Father Aidan Galvin, Father Joe Cunningham, Father Eamon Raftery, Father Kevin O'Shea, Father Philip Walsh, Father Michael McCullough, Father Eugene Curran, and Father Akko. Also, Father Chinedu Enu and Father John Ashu not only help us now, but prior to their ordination, they worked alongside us as catechists as part of their seminary training. Each year, we have a Passover meal, which is an excellent opportunity to rediscover our Jewish heritage and understand the origins of our Mass. It is a wonderful community event for the children and their families. We also have an annual afternoon of recollection, which provides an extended opportunity for the children to explore in more depth aspects of their faith. For this event, we are supported by the Daughters of Charity, who have always offered us the use of Provincial House. They welcome us with generous hospitality and enrich us with their spirituality. It's difficult to know how many children we have been blessed with over the years, as we don't have detailed records going back to the beginning. But we could probably estimate about 1,000 children have attended our classes. From very small beginnings, this group is now a major asset to the parish, a success story facilitated by the building of the new church and church hall.
Sacred Heart Parish has a flourishing international evening every year. We have over 30 different nationalities in our parish, and in 2008, Jan Zemareni came to St. Vincent's School and she saw that we had our international evening and considered this would be really good to have in the parish, and it's been flourishing ever since.
Hi, my name is Josephine Madalora. I'm a former chairman of Kappa Mill Hill, or Kapatirang Pinoy sa Mill Hill. Our Filipino community was established in 2007 by Father Joel Bernardo CM, but it was formally structured in 2012 as a member of the Filipino community here in London. The community was established specifically for our children, or for the new generations, to keep up with our traditions and our culture as Filipinos here living in London. So everyone is invited in our community because it's not restricted for Filipinos, and you can join us because we have lots of activities. We have the Santa Cruzan, or what we call Flores de Mayo, that is annually done every May. We also have our Sinulog, which is our Feast of the Child Jesus every January, and also under the Filipino chaplaincy headed by our chaplain, Father Francis Cruz, which we stage our Sibmangabi, or our 9 novena prayers every night from December 15 to December 23. And Kappa Mill Hill is hosting one of those nights every December.
Good morning, Dee. My name is Scholastica Basse, the chairperson of Nigerian Catholic Chaplaincy near the Healing Branch. We meet every fourth Sunday of the month at Sacred Heart and Immaculate Heart of Mary in Mill Hill. Our activities varies, from January to December, where we do masses, first Sunday of each month. We also do a picnic during the summer, not only for Nigerians, but also for the community in Mill Hill. Then in October, we invite Nigerian children to celebrate the independence. One of the most that we cherish most is the dinner that we do every Christmas for the elders parishioners of Sacred Heart, which I know many of them enjoy it. We also have our annual harvest in November every year, which is also a vibrant occasion. We also try to engage with the parishioners of Sacred Heart, who have given us the opportunity to use this church over the years. It's like a payback time. So we're very pleased to be part of the Mill Hill community. Thank you.
My name is Louis van den Berg, and I was asked by Father A. McGee back in 1990 to take part in his development committee as a marketing and fundraising member. Our task was to find the £650,000 we needed to build the new church. £150,000 was already guaranteed by an insurance settlement which has been claimed by Brian Walton. As for the rest, we had to get a program together. So we created a project and we called it A Church for 2000. That was a nod to the fact that there were approximately 2,000 people in the parish and that we were looking forward to the millennium. So we set to work. First of all, we had to find financing. The Broadway branches of the various banks that were still there in those days were not terribly helpful. But I got a lucky Catenian tip, which took me to the Allied Irish banks, and they were very, very helpful and were consistently helpful throughout. So we had our funding in place. Now we had to do the marketing. So we prepared a marketing prospectus and we put it out, not just to the parish, but to the people of Mill Hill. We put it down up and down the Broadway, we put it down to the different churches, and we put it down to the churches and the people in the Broadway. And that was good because the people became, we wanted the people, the whole community to become involved. So fundraising took place in various means. I remember particularly one lady, Mary Moody, who for probably 3 years stood outside that temporary church every Sunday, every Mass, every year, come rain or shine, collecting money, 20 pence at a time, for the families and children who were coming to church. This effort, 20 pence at a time, added up when we totaled it all up to Mary Moody's contribution, £10,000, and that sticks in my mind. I vividly remember the actual day of the annual ceremony of the inauguration. I was sat on the front bench with the Lady Mayoress because I'd been delegated to look after her, and Cardinal Hugh, known to me as Father Basil from the days when I was at school at Aberforth, and he was my housemaster of rugby coach. He was sitting on the chair behind the altar, tall and straight, with the top of his mitre tickling the feet of the risen Christ above his head, We had to move that risen Christ to be 70 years higher, but that's a different story altogether. Father Eden stood up, I remember, and said, "It's finished at last, thank God." And the whole congregation burst into spontaneous applause. I found it sad that Father Eden was moved on only a few weeks after this, to be replaced by Father Perry. And he wasn't able to enjoy the fruits of his labour for very long. But never mind. It was 3 years later that Father Perry was able to tell us on Christmas Eve 1999 that our church for 2000 had been finally completed and paid for just in time for the millennium. And I think it was significant that the parish itself, we took ownership of this church. We paid for it, we built it, and it's our church. And we're very proud of it. Well, we come a long way since these early days. We've got the community centre, we've got the Bethany room, the atrium, the parish office. We've got our new eco-friendly presbytery, and our day chapel, the day chapel which I'm sitting in now, making this talk, and which we find is often used by people of all faiths and none of a place of peace and affection. Truly, Church for 2000.
Hello, my name is Patrick Biella, and I am a member of the Sacred Heart Parish in Mill Hill, London. This is a crest representing the Congregation of the Mission. Here, we are a Vincentian community, part of a worldwide Vincentian family movement. 2 million members, 170 clubs. 100 years on this very site. I've been coming to this church for the last 27 years, nurturing my faith, working alongside my community, so that in the spirit of St. Vincent and St. Louise, we can evangelize the poor. We can attend to our broken hearts and our principles. When I see this presbytery, I'm amazed, I'm encouraged, I'm thrilled. As a faith-filled man, leading a new company, attending to new opportunities of growth, both spiritual, mental, and physical, when I see this presbytery, I know there's a future, I know there's a hope, I know that we're going to be okay. I know that we're here for each other, and this is the start of a new chapter.
Father Eugene tells me that there are over 200 volunteers in our parish, intending to all of our over 2,000 parishioners. There are many groups, only some included here, who cater for the spiritual and social needs of all of us.
I'd like to thank everybody who has participated in this project and for remembering the past and all that has been done, and also to remind ourselves that we all stand, as they say, on the shoulders of giants. People who've gone before us, those who've been involved in the church as parish priests, as assisting ministers in various ways, those who have volunteered, and those who've just made up the congregation, which is the very life of the parish and why we're here. It's been a wonderful project. I thank thee for all that you did and all of those who were involved. Perhaps, more especially, it will spark some happy memories for you. And if you would like to record them and send them in, we'd be happy to receive them. But more importantly, that we all use the opportunity to give thanks to God for what has been and pray in hope, in joy and in expectation for what is yet to come. Thank you all.